أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون. لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون. إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون. وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون. وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون. قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون. قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين. قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم. قالوا طائركم معكم أن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون. وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون. أتخذ من دونه آلهة يردن الرحمن بضر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون. إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين. إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون. قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين. وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين. إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون. يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون. ألم يروا كما أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون. وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون. وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها أخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون. وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون. سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون. وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا شمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لتمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون يحذرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون آمنا بالله فصدق الله العلي العظيم. دعاء أهل الثغور. اللهم صل على محمد وعاله وحسن ثغور المسلمين بإزتك وأيدهما تها بقوتك واسبغ عتايهم من جدتك. اللهم صل على محمد وآله وكثر عدتهم واشهد أسلحتهم واحرس حوزتهم وامنع حومتهم وألف جمعهم ودبر أمرهم وواتر بين أميرهم وتوحد بكفايات مأنهم وأذدهم بالنصر وأعنهم بالصبر والتف لهم بالمكر. اللهم صل على محمد وآله وعرفهم ما يجهلون وعلمهم ما لا يعلمون وبصرهم ما لا يبصرون. اللهم صل على محمد وآله وانسهم عند لقائهم العدو ذكر دنياهم الخداءة الغرور وامهو عن قلوبهم خطرات المال الفتون واجعل الجنة نصب أعينهم ولوه منها لإبصارهم ما أعددت فيها من مساكن الخلد ومنازل الكرامة والهور الحسان والأنهار المتردة بأنواع الأشربة والأشجار المتدلية بصنوف الثمر حتى لا يهم أحد منهم بالأدبار ولا يحدث نفسه عن كرنه بفرار. اللهم افلل بذلك عدوهم واقلم عنهم أظفارهم وفرق بينهم وبين أسلحاتهم واقلأ وثائك أفئدتهم وباعد بينهم وبين أزودتهم وهيرهم في سبولهم وذللهم عن وجههم واقطع عنهم المدد وانقص منهم العدد واملأ أفئدتهم الرعب واقبض أيديهم عن البسط واخزم ألسنتهم عن النطق وشرد بهم من خلفهم ونكل بهم من أراءهم وقطع بخزيهم أطماع من بعدهم. اللهم أكم أرحام نسائهم ويبس أصلاب رجالهم واقطع نسل دوابهم وأنعامهم. لا تأذن لي سمائهم في قطر ولا أرضهم في نبات. اللهم وقوي بذلك محل أهل الإسلام وحسن به ديارهم وثمر به أموالهم وفرقهم عن محاربتهم لعبادتك وعن منابذتهم للخلوات بك حتى لا يؤبد في بقاء الأرض غيرك ولا تؤفر لأحد منهم جبهة دونك. اللهم اغزو بكل ناحية من المسلمين ألا من بإذائهم من المشركين وأمددهم بملائكة من عندك مردفين حتى يكشفوهم إلى منقطع التراب قتلا في أرضك وأسرا أو يقروا بأنك أنت الله الذي لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك. اللهم واعمم بذلك أعداءك في أقطار البلاد من الهند والروم والترك والخزر والحبش والنوبات والزنج والسقالبة والديالمة وسائر الشرك الذي تخفى أسماءهم وصفاتهم وقد أحسيتهم بمعرفتك وأشرفت عليهم بقدرتك. اللهم اشغل المشركين بالمشركين عن تناول أطراف المسلمين وخذهم بالنقص عن تنقصهم وثبتهم بالفرقة عن الاحتشاد عليهم. اللهم أخلق قلوبهم من الأمانة وابدانهم من القوة وأذهل قلوبهم عن الاحتيال وأوهن أركانهم عن منازلة الرجال وجبنهم عن مقاراءة الأبطال وابعث عليهم جندا من ملائكتك ببأس من بأسك كفعلك يوم البدر تقطع به دابرهم وتحسد به شوكتهم وتفرق به عددهم. اللهم وامزج مياههم بالوباء وأتئمتهم بالأدواء وارمي بلادهم بالخسوف وألحها عليها بالخذوف وافرعها بالمحول، واجعل ميرهم في أحس أرضك وأبعدها عنهم، وامنع حصونها منهم، وسبهم بالجوع المقيم السكم الأليم. اللهم وأيما غازهم من أهل ملتك أو مجاهدي جاهدهم من أتباع سنتك ليكون دينك لا أعلى وحزبك الأقوى وحظك الأوفى، فلكه اليسرى وهيئ له الأمر وتوله بالنجح، وتخير له الأصحاب واستقوي له الظهر، وأسبغ عليه في النفقات ومتئه بالنشاط، أدفي عنه حرارة الشوق وأجره من غم الوحشة، وأنسه ذكر الأهل والولد، وأثر له حسن النية وتولى بالعافية، وأذهبه السلامة وعفه من الجبن، وألهمه الجرأة وارزقه الشدة، وأيده بالنصرة، وعلمه سير والسنن، وسدده في الحكم، واعزل عنه الرياء، وخلصه من السمعة، واجعل فكره وذكره وذأنه وإقامته فيك ولك. وإذا سفى عدوك وعدوه فقللهم في عيني، وصغر شأنهم في قلبي، وأدله منهم ولا تدلهم منه. وإن ختمت له بالسعادة وقزيت له بالشهادة، فبعد أن يجتاح عدوك بالقتل، وبعد أن يجحد بهم الأسر، وبعد أن تأمن أطراف المسلمين، وبعد أن يولي عدوك مدبرين، اللهم وأيما مسلم خلف غازيا أو مرابطا في داره أو تحد خالفيه في غيبته، أو عانه بطائفة من ماله، أو أمده بإتاد، أو شهده على جهاد، أو أتبعه في وجهه دعوة، أو رأى له من ورائه حرما، فأجر له مثل أجري، وزنا بوزني ومثلا بمثله، وأوذه من فعلي عوذا حاضرا يتعجل به نفع ما قدم وسرور ما أتى به، إلى أن ينتهي به الوقت إلى ما أجريت له من فضلك وأعددت له من كرامتك. اللهم وأيما مسلم أهمه أمر الإسلام وأحزنه تحزب أهل الشرك عليهم، فنوى غزوان أو حما بجهاد وقعد به ضعف أو أبتاعت به فاقة أو أخره عنه حادث أو أرذ له دون إرادته مانع فاكتب أسمعه في العابدين وأوجب له ثواب المجاهدين واجعله في نظام الشهداء والصالحين. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وآل محمد صلاة عالية على الصلوات مشرفة فوق التهيات صلاة لا ينتهي أمدها ولا ينقطع عددها وأتم ما مضى من صلواتك على أحد من أوليائك إنك المنان الحميد المبدئ المعيد الفعال لما تريد. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم. اللهم صل على
Right.
Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we start the program, if all the ladies want to come into the gents hall, and then can I please ask all the brothers to come as close to the front, and can we please invite Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi to the table? Can we please invite him with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad?
Allah salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على أفضل الموجودات العبد المؤيد الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد والمحمود الأحمد سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا والشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Welcome back to part 2 of our discussion on Rajat. Before we begin, inshallah, today's presentation, which is a continuation of last week's presentation, can I request you all to recite a Surah Al-Fatiha for all of the marhumin and all of the shuhada, especially the shuhada of Lebanon. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Ar-Rahim maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Mustaqim as-siratal ladhina an'amta 'alayhim ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman. Recite a loud salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ali. Okay, so inshallah we'll begin. And this is, of course, I see there's a lot of people here that were not here last week. So this is part 2. And, perhaps you may have a lot of questions for those who were not here last week. So I invite you to look at the presentation of last week online, which was on the YouTube channel, and then perhaps some of the things today may make sense. But just as a brief overview, because I don't want to repeat myself, I want to move forward today. I'll just highlight in a word or two what we were discussing last week, and then inshallah we'll begin with tonight's presentation. We looked at a Shia doctrine, which is a part of the Shia principles, Shia usul, known as Rajat, or the return, which refers to the coming back of some of the very righteous, pious believers, as well as some of the worst of the worst. And we already discussed last week that it is the Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam, the pious amongst them, the Imams, who will make their return after Zuhur. So the period we're discussing here is not Zuhur, it's not the signs of Zuhur, it's not Qiyamah. In fact, it's in between Zuhur and Qiyamah, known as the period of Ar-Raj'ah, or the return. And in the presentation I gave last week, we looked at all of the Quranic evidences that there are within the Holy Quran that speak of Raj'at. Not all of them, but many of them, and there are many more which we left out. So this tonight, inshallah, I want to look at some of the traditions or some of the ahadith that exist or that have come in our books, in our sources, in regards to Raja, the details of Raja. And one of the things I said last week, and this is probably the most important, is that there is no disagreement when it comes to the principle of Raja itself. But the disagreements or the gray area is in regard to the details of Raja. Okay? So tonight I want to present some narrations that have come in our books, numerous times. And these are amongst those narrations which we can safely rely on them because they've come up so many times in so many books by so many different authors. And I've left out the other details that has come up here and there, but it's not enough to use it. So I've only chosen a handful or a selection of narrations. So again, if you were not here last week, which I can see many were not here last week, you might, it may be a bit difficult to digest some of these things. But I invite you again, inshallah, when you do get a chance to look at last week's presentation and then put this as the next part, and then things will make a bit more sense. Okay, so let's try this. Okay, so who is the first one to come back after Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam? So post Zuhur. What do the narrations say? Here I've put a narration that the first one to come back after Imam al-Mahdi salamullahi alayhi is Imam al-Husayn ibn Ali salamullahi alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And what's interesting is that this sort of tradition has come up again and again in different sources with different words, different wordings, different way of saying the same thing. In other words, it all goes back to Imam Hussein. After Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, Imam Hussein. The first one, for example, this narration says that the first one who will come out of the grave is Imam Hussein alayhi salam. In fact, there's an interesting narration that Imam Hussein alayhi salam on the night of Ashura, actually, he gives a khutbah because he gave many sermons. Amongst one of the sermons in Karbala, he says, I will be the first one to return after Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam. And there's mention of that in his words, in his own sermon. But I've just used one here from Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. And then the final line is that إن الرجعة ليست بعامة وهي خاصة. Raja'a, this is important. Raja'a is not, is not general, it's specific. In the sense that not everyone comes back. It's khas, it's specific. The best of the best and the worst of the worst. These are people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will raise. Who they are? Some names we have, some names we don't know. There you go, that's one name. Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. Okay? So there's traditions like this that have come up in our books. And there's more. For example, the first to do Rajat will be Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, and he will rule for such a long time. The narration says that his eyebrows will sag over his eyes, which indicates old age, basically, that he will get old, he will live for a long time. And we have narrations in Al-Kafi, Usul Al-Kafi itself, that says that after the martyrdom of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam, the one who will give kafan to Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam is Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Because again, another narration in Kafi says that only an imam can give the ghusl or do the burial rites, the ghusl and the kafan of an imam can only be another imam. So here we have, and this makes sense because Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam will return before Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein will return after Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam. Imam Mahdi alayhi salam will be martyred and Imam Hussein will continue. How long will he rule for? We don't know. We don't know for sure. Some of the texts say up to 300 years or more. Some say he will get old, he will rule for that long. And then, for example, this interesting narration says that his eyebrows will fall over his eyes, sag over his eyes. Again, indicating old age. How long? We don't know. That's again one of those things where there can be a dispute and difference of opinion. And then there's another interesting narration right at the bottom. Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam will perform the accounting of the people throughout his time here. All that will be left is to, either they go to heaven or they go to hell on the day of judgment. And this is interesting because another narration which we'll get to that, which speaks of the return of Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam. Muhammad. Which says that when Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam comes, he will, in the time of Raj'ah, this phase of Raj'ah, the Imam himself will separate mu'min from munafiq in dunya. Not that it's something that will be left until the akhirah. In dunya this will happen. And what's interesting is that some of the narrations say that the Imam alayhi salatu wasalam will mark them. Some of the narrations go as far as that. We don't know what kind of mark that is. But it says some of them will be marked. Mu'min, innahu mu'minun haqqa. This is a mu'min, this is a munafiq. And what's left in the end is they will be divided between heaven and hell. So, it shows you that a lot will happen. Again, what exactly, we don't know. But a rule that long, outside of the rule of Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam. Remember let's say we go with this narration 309 years. This is outside of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam's time. This is other than that. And it's other than Imam Amirul Mu'mineen's rule. Because the narrations, which I think I may have put it in there. Okay. Maybe the battery is gone again. Okay, sorry. Yes. Okay, so there is one narration here that speaks where Imam Hussein himself narrates this. He says, my return will be at the same time as the return of Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And his return will be at the same time as the return of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. Which is interesting. Now, obviously it doesn't mean it will be on the same day, because we don't have any narrations to suggest that Imam Hussein alayhi salam comes back on the same day as Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. But the fact that Imam Hussein alayhi salam says it will emerge at the same time as Imam Mahdi alayhi salam could indicate a short period of time before Imam Hussein alayhi salam returns. And then his coming is at the same time as Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. So it's like Imam Mahdi, Imam Hussein, Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. How long the gap between them? Again, that's a gray, we don't know. That's another gray area. And another narration, Imam al-Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam says, the Messenger of Allah and Amirul Mu'mineen will make return. Which is interesting. So Imam Hussein has come up in narrations, overall. Imam Amirul Mu'mineen's name has come up. But some of the narrations even speak of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma. So, and it makes sense, the best of the best are to return in dunya before the end of the world. And the worst of the worst. And of course, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the best of the best. So it makes sense. So now, this is kind of like the timeline. Imagine it in your mind. Dhuhur, Rajat, Imam Hussein, Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wasalam, and that leads to Qiyamah. Okay? Now there's an interesting verse I want you all to look at. Okay? Don't read this side, just read the verse please. And take a minute or two to read the verse. This is an interesting verse. And I don't know if you guys can see it. You can't see it, okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَإِذَا وَقَعَ الْقَوْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ أَخْرَجْنَا لَهُمْ دَابَّةً مِّنَ الْأَرْضِ تُكَلِّمُهُمْ أَنَّ النَّاسَ كَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا لَا يُوقِنُونَ. And when the word shall come to pass against them, we shall bring forth a creature. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He speaks of bringing someone out from the earth. He will bring him out of the earth. So, this is important. And it will be a creature who will talk to the people, because they did not believe in our signs. Now this is an interesting verse. Okay, just don't read the other side for a minute. I need your attention for a minute. Before the end of the world, Allah will bring out a creature which the Quran calls dabba. Okay? Dabbatan min al-ard. From the earth. It comes out of the earth and it speaks to the people, because they didn't believe in it. So these people are obviously not believers. He comes out to speak to those. This dabba comes out and he speaks to those who don't believe in God's sign. Now what is this dabba? Number one, dabba is a creature, anything that walks on the earth, anything that can walk. This could include insan, it could include haywan. Anything, any creature, according to the Arabic, the lughat, the dictionaries, any creature that can walk is called a dabba. It's not specific to animals, because some people, especially the Sunni Mufassirin, they have put this dabba brackets animal. Allah will bring out an animal. But dabba in lugha simply means a creature, a living thing that walks. There's nothing to suggest it's only for the animals, because that's not the Shia tafsir of it anyway. Now it speaks. Okay? Now we have numerous narrations regarding this. I've put just one here, but we have numerous in the books, but I've kept it short. Ammar ibn Yasir, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says that a man came to Ammar and he says, Ammar, this verse has confused me. What is this? At the end of the times, before the end of the times, Allah will bring out a creature. It speaks to the people. What is this? And Ammar makes a vow. He says, I shall not eat or drink until I show you who he is. And Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, Ammar takes him until they come to Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And Amirul Mu'mineen is distributing, dates and butter. He's distributing charity. And he says to Ammar, Ammar, sit and have your share. Ammar sits and he begins to eat. And this man, now you imagine this man is following him and he just ignores him and he starts to eat. Now he's like, you made a vow, you won't eat until you show me this dabba. He says, if you ponder, I've already shown you the dabba. Okay? Now if you guys ponder, in other words, Imam Amirul Mu'mineen Salamullahi alayhi. Ammar says, this is that dabba, that creature that will come out before the end of the world. Allah will bring him out of the land. In other words, bring him out of his grave. And he will speak to the people. So in other words, he will help the message of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. He will help the word of God. And he will speak to who? Those who didn't believe in the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is just one of many narrations where Imam Amirul Mu'mineen Salamullahi alayhi has been called that creature which Allah will bring out of the land. And remember, this is important because this verse of the Holy Quran links back to our doctrine of Raj'a, which I introduced last week from the Quran. But today we're not looking at the Quran so much. Okay. Qummi, one of our classical works, Tafsir al-Qummi, Ali ibn Ibrahim Qummi, who doesn't know that? Another narration which has been put under the same verse, وَإِذَا وَقَى الْقَوْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ, that Rasulullah once addresses Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam as Dabba. Okay? So this is another, one day Rasulullah looks at Amirul Mu'mineen, says, Ya Dabbat Allah, oh the creature of Allah, oh that creature will come out of the land, will come out of the earth, will speak to the people. And then the companion said, Ya Rasulullah, should we use that title as well? He says, no. This is specific to Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Like the title Amirul Mu'mineen, there are certain titles which were specific to Amirul Mu'mineen Salamullahi alayhi, and this Dabba is one of them. And so the Messenger of Allah says that it is restricted for Ali ibn Abi Talib because Allah has mentioned in his book, and I've just taken it out, ... referring back to the same verse that I was just showing you in the slide before, that in the last period, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring out Amirul Mu'mineen in the best of form, in a handsome form. And we have narrations, how will the Imams look when they return? How will Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam look when he returns, over 1,000 years old, 1,100 something years old, the Holy Imam? The narration says, a young man. People look at him and say, this man is about 40, 45. A bright light on the face, tall, handsome, nur, young, full of energy, full of strength. Imam Sahibul Zaman alayhi salatu wasalam will put his hand ala ra'usul ibad. He will put his hands on the heads of the people, on the mu'mineen. And the knowledge of the believers will increase. Some of the narrations say 25-fold. Imagine knowledge today and where we're heading with AI and whatnot. 25 times the knowledge will increase higher than that, by just Imam Sahibul Zaman putting his hand on the heads of the believers. And there are many narrations, the strength of the believer will increase. The mu'min will have, the one man will have the strength of 40 men at that time. So Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam will appear and he will speak to the people and he will try to call them, like Isa alayhi salam when he returns. He will speak to the Christians to try to bring them towards the right path. Okay. Now, I've got a few slides. The next few slides are, so we've done Raj'a in the Quran. We've done Raj'a in some of the hadiths just now. Last week we did all Quran. This week we did mostly hadith. And I want to, just the last final slides will be on Ziyarah. There are so many mentions of Raj'a within our Ziyarat. Sometimes we read them, we go over them, and we don't really ponder. For example, Ziyarat Waritha. How many times you read this? Inni bikum mu'min wa bi'iyabikum muqin. I've just missed that there. I believe in you, all bikum, all of you, and I I'm a firm believer. I have yaqeen, muqin, yaqeen in your return. All of you. Especially when you're speaking in Ziyarat Waritha to Imam al-Hussein salamullahi alayhi. I have yaqeen in your return. What return? Raj'ah. Return in dunya, in raj'ah. Okay? So this is a mention of that, and we have similar examples. Ziyarat Jami' al-Kabira. One of the most authentic of our ziyarat when it comes to the different ziyarats. One of the most authentic, directly from Imam al-Hadi alayhi salatu wasalam, is al-Kabir, Jami' al-Kabira al-Mashhura. Mu'minun bi'iyyabikum. I believe in your coming back to this world. I believe in your raj'ah. So the Imam is directly addressing the Imams. And this is not specific to Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. You can't say this is only for Imam Mahdi. No. This is for all of them. I believe in your coming to this world. I give credence to your return. Musaddiqun bi raj'atikum. Your raja, your ruju, your return, which we introduced again in last week's slides. Muntadrun li amrikum, and I wait for your amr, your command, your order, and I am expecting that dawla, that rule. So this is, I always say that this is probably the most hopeful thing, especially now in times of distress, in times of war, in times where you may feel hopeless, but remember, the end is promised, and the end is a good one for the mazlumeen, for the mu'mineen, for the oppressed. Things get worse. From the narrations, it seems the graph goes like this before it comes up. Okay? So you may think that things are bad, and things are bad. But if you read the alamat of Zuhur, things will only get worse. Iraq, Kufa, Najaf, bloodbath. Okay? This is why it's important to continuously go over the signs of the Zuhur, so that man does not lose hope. He says, no, this was expected, this is there. This is getting closer to the Zuhur. Doesn't mean it's easy, it's not easy. But at least a person who is going over regularly in touch with Imam Sahibu Zaman, going over the Zuhur, going over the signs, this, reading through the books and the works of the scholars and what are the signs that have been collected, it gives you a sense of itminan. No, this is bound to happen. Bloodshed, mass killing, war, decrease in population. But the end, subhanallah, the end is beautiful. This is what gives me hope. That after all of that, if there's anything that doesn't break the hope of the mu'min, is Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam and the raj'ah. And that dawlah, or that government, or that rule, or that unified rule of the Imams, which begins, of course, with Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, and then he moves to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. So that is something that should always be in the back of your minds, especially when you read these ziyarat. You have something similar in the ziyarah of Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. وَأَنَّ رَجْعَتَكُمْ حَقٌّ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهَا. Your return is it's promised, it's haqq, there's no doubt in it, but it's kum, so it's not referring only to Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, it's referring to the Imams. Interestingly, when you go and you stand in front of the haram of Abul Fadl Abbas salamullahi alayhi, and you read that ziyarat nama, which comes directly from the 6th Imam, As-Sadiq salamullahi alayhi, you have something similar, which speaks of Raj'a. The 6th Imam speaks of the Raj'a for Hazrat Abbas salamullahi alayhi, Abbas ibn Ali. That's interesting. This is someone who's not an Imam. Yet, the Imam himself speaks of the Raj'ah, or some return of Abul Fadl Abbas فَمَعَكُمْ مَعَكُمْ لَا مَعَ عَدُوِّكُمْ إِنِّي بِكُمْ وَبِإِيَّابِكُمْ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. I'm with you, I'm not with your enemies. And I believe in you and in your return. Subhanallah. It's interesting. Okay. Dua al-iftitah. These lines, you probably all remember them. Allahumma inna narghabu ilayka fi dawlatin karima tu'izzu biha al-islam wa ahla wa tudhillu biha al-nifaqa wa ahla. Oh Allah, we long, we desire, we long for that government, that rule, that dawlah, that, you know, that country, you can call it the country of Ahlul Bayt, where Islam and the Muslims will be honored and nifaq and hypocrisy will be disgraced. What is that dawlah? Imam Mahdi, yes, it begins with Imam Mahdi. But it begins with zuhur. Remember, the coming of Imam al-Mahdi salamullahi alayhi is the beginning. There is I mentioned this last week for those who were here. This is a timeline. Imagine a timeline. If this is important, but because we are taught in a certain way, we think the coming of Imam Mahdi is the end. Actually, it's a timeline. It begins with, the end of the world begins with zuhur. It has phases. It goes through stages until there is the end of the world. It begins with the zuhur of Imam al-Mahdi salamullah alayhi, and he moves to Raja of Ahlul Bayt salamullah alayhi majma'in. And then it gets close to Qiyamah. The time of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen in Raja, at the end of his time, is getting close to that final Qiyamah from narrations. Okay? So this is interesting because in Dua al-Iftitah, when you read it, you're taught to prepare or long for this world, this new world, which is a world of peace, where Imam Mahdi alayhi salam begins, Imam Hussein continues, Amir al-Mu'mineen has a rule in it. The narrations say Ali ibn Abi Talib will rule. That dabba that we looked at from the Quran, dabbatan min al-ard, Ali will rule. How long? We don't know. These details we don't have. It's the principle that we have. Okay? So, okay, this is just, I've put it in there, but I don't want to give any details on this. But some of the other names that have crept up in the rawayat, in the narrations, that speak of the return of certain personalities include these names. Salman al-Farisi, Miqdad, the Prophet Sulaiman, Malik al-Ashtar's name has come up. Abu Dujana was a companion who, when everyone fled from the battle of Uhud, Amir al-Mu'mineen stayed back. Abu Dujana was also one of the ones who defended the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yusha bin Nun. So these are some of the names that have come up in the works of the scholars, in the narrations, in the hadith, of a possible return or a possible raja. Now, can we say for sure? No, we can't say for sure. We don't know the details. So this is the gray area of Rajat. That's why I didn't want to go into it too much, so I left it. But it's good to get an idea of what other names. So it's not specific to Imams either, it seems. If we can accept these narrations. And neither does the narration say it's the return of the Imams. It's the return of the pious, the pure, the right, the best of the best. Of course, Imams are first. So these are some of the names that have come. And there are other names as well. Amongst the enemies, names like Muawiyah and Yazid have come up. Other names have come up. Some of the narrations Al-Majlisi has recorded in his book Kitab al-Raja. He speaks of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen Raja fighting Muawiyah once again. Some of the narrations Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam will return with 72 of the companions. Some of them say 72 of awliya. Some narrations mentions return of Anbiya, some of the Anbiya. Some narrations say that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam will rise, he will rise with 70. Now it doesn't say 70 shuhada, 70 awliya, 70 anbiya, we don't know. But it seems that they will rise with more people, okay? So again, this is the gray area, so don't worry about that too much. Okay, another interesting one, Dua al-Ahad. You read this, right? And you say, what do you say? Allahumma in hala bayni wa baynahu wal maut alladhi ja'altahu ala ibadika hatman maqdi. Oh Allah, if between me and the Imam death will come, and death is going to come, and if it separates me and the Imam, then take me out of my grave with my shroud and my sword. Which means that if Allah wants, you and I can make a raja. You and I can make a return when we make this dua in Dua al-Ahad. So, what does the narration say actually? It's interesting. I didn't put the narration in. But the narration says that in the time of from Zuhur to Raj'ah, the angel will come onto the grave of the mu'min, onto the qabr of the mu'min. And he will say to the mu'min, the one who is eligible for Raj'ah. Remember, you have to be eligible for Raj'ah. The best of the best or the worst of the worst. One has to be either here or here. Otherwise, one does not get Raj'ah. You stay in the grave until Barzakh and then Qiyamah. So not everyone gets Raj'ah unless one qualifies for it. Okay. So now the mu'min or the mu'mina who qualifies for Raj'ah, the hadith says that the angels, when Raj'ah happens, the Zuhur and the Imam has returned, the angels now come to the grave. And they say, Ya Abdullah, O servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, O mu'min, your Imams have made a return. Now the choice is yours. You can either return and Allah will grant you that life to return. Or you can stay here in the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until Qiyamah. So it seems that there will be a choice as well for the mu'min who qualifies for Raj'ah, or the mu'min who's 40, 50 years his life he recited this dua. And he says, Oh Allah, when my Imam comes, raise me from my grave with my kafan, with my sword, so that I serve the Imam, I'm with the Imam. And so that the narration said that option will be, they will be chosen, and that option will be given to them. Do you want to stay, or do you want to rise? If you want to stay, you can stay in the ni'mah of Allah, in the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want to rise, you can rise. Okay, finally I'll end here. I just left that as a point of discussion if there is. But in short, one of the criticisms against Raj'ah is that, well, this is similar belief like Hinduism. You come back to life. Okay? You have another life. Reincarnation. You are reborn. So are the Shias getting this belief from the Hindus? Where you say you're dying, you're dead, but then you're coming back to life. No. Because in reincarnation, where the person comes back to life, the belief is that the soul is moved into a different body. Okay? The belief is that a person, if he lives a good life, his soul moves into a good person. He's reborn as a good person. But that's not Raj'ah. Soul does not transfer anywhere. One body, one soul. Okay? This is not our belief. That we are raised in another body, in another world, with a different state altogether. No. The person who will rise, who is given that opportunity by Allah to rise, he will rise in the same body. His soul will return in the same body. There is no, there's no like moving around from this body to another body and that body to another body into an animal or into another creature. Okay? So this was just a final point just to clarify that it's not that sort of a belief that, in fact, Islamic philosophy considers it impossible for the soul to come out of one body and go into another body and go into another person's body, come out of a child's body, go into a grown-up's, come out of an adult's body and go into a child's body, come out of a baby's body and go into an old man's body. Okay? That Islamic philosophy considers impossible. Not something that can happen. So, we're very clear. This raj'a is the return of the soul back into the body it belonged to. And for those who were not here last week, we covered all of that in our first segment from Quranic evidences where souls were returned back into the same bodies. So, I want to end it here just to repeat what I said last week. This is an important Shia doctrine which has always been there. And as Sayyid Murtada says, there is a ijma', there is a consensus on this. In the usul, in the principle, there is no ikhtilaf, there is no difference. In the details, there can be plenty of differences. In the explanations, there can be plenty of. Imam Hussein, how long will he rule? Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, how long will he rule? Will he fight Muawiyah? Will he not fight Muawiyah? We don't know that. We cannot say for certain. But we can say that there is going to be a raj'a post-zuhur, pre-qiyamah. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين صلوات.
Thank you. Bismillah. I want to know why would the evil ones want to come back? And you said the mu'min will be asked whether he has a choice. So the evil one will be asked as well and has a choice. So if people like Netanyahu will come back, Yazid will come back, so they have a choice.
So again, like I said, there is no answer for details. So please don't ask anything about details. We don't have any answer on that. But in a nutshell, what we do have in the text, and for the mu'min, we have he will be asked. Now, for the evil, we don't have any narration that he will be asked. I don't think he will be asked. But Allah subhanahu, there are many reasons given for raj'ah. But these reasons are all words of the scholars. And we discussed this last week. These are all words of the scholars. There's nothing in hadith. Why would Yazid come back? Why would such an evil person come back? Hadith does not say that. Hadith says they will come back. Hadith says they will come back and justice will be served. Now the scholars after that, taking this into consideration, they've penned down their own opinions. I'll give you a few, for example. Justice of God must be established in the land of God. Earth is the land of God. And I don't know if you were here last week, but we discussed this in detail. When Allah created, before Adam's creation, He already decided, I am going to put my caliph on the land. I am going to make my person will rule the land. So at some point, Allah's naib, Allah's ruler must rule the whole land. Otherwise, someone can turn around and say, look, God forbid, God failed. He couldn't even get one earth. And God couldn't even get his rule on one earth. So the rule must solidify. And there are the verse of the Holy Quran, لَيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ. For example, the deen of the Prophet will take over the complete world or will spread. That still hasn't happened. So all of these things are to happen. So that's one explanation that some of the scholars give. Others may say things like, the oppressed has had his day, the oppressor has had his day, he is killed and butchered and is bombed, right? The zalim has had his day. The mazloom must have it. It's only fair that the mazloom has his day. The mazloom rules. The mazloom has that power. Otherwise the mazloom can say on the day of judgment, Ya Allah, I didn't get that opportunity. If I had that opportunity, I didn't get that. Okay, akhirah, we know they'll be compensated. Allah is adil, He will compensate them. But they may say, oh, look, well, it's not fair. I didn't get it. I didn't get that opportunity in dunya. Why should I not get that opportunity in dunya? Okay, so perhaps that could be another reason where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may bring them back to show that justice is served. And finally, at the end, like I said, the end has to be good. Haqq must prevail over batil. Okay, so there can be many things that can be said in regards to that. But I hope inshallah.
Just one more quick question, because you said Imam Mahdi is going to be Shaheed. Then why do the Imams are going to be Shaheed again if when they come, he's supposed to establish peace and justice and he will defeat the wicked ones? So why then, what is the role of again being martyred?
So he will be martyred by the martyrdom.
Because he'll be the ruler himself.
Yeah.
He's not, and so he will be ruling over others.
Yeah.
And yet he's still going to be martyred.
Yeah. So the narration's clear. Ma minna illa masmoom or maqtul. There is none amongst us except that the Prophet says for us, the infallibles, there is none amongst us illa he's killed by poison or killed by the sword. So Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam's his shahadat, his martyrdom has already been foretold, like the martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam was foretold. Why he will do that? Because there will still be evil people around. He will be killed throughout his process. He will be killed throughout his process of trying to establish that justice. By the coming of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, evil doesn't end overnight. There's going to be more bloodshed. Like I said, if you look to the narrations, leading up to Zuhur, bloodshed, war, destruction, population decreasing. After Zuhur, so that's trying to say, the graph steeps down before it comes up. And so it's possible that Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wasalam, he establishes his rule, but there are still some pockets of evil which will then be cleared by Imam Hussein alayhi salam, let's say, after him. So the Imams will return to be part of that government. Again, this is going in the detail area, the gray area for which we don't have any text written. So I don't want to say anything myself, but these are possibilities that make sense once you analyze all of the traditions. Yes.
Is Prophet Isa going to come back?
Yes, Prophet Isa will come back, yeah. Definitely. Alayhi salam. Sorry.
I have a question. I'm digressing from the topic a little bit, but this is what you mentioned in your talk, and again you mentioned just now in the question answer, saying that before the zuhur of Imam Mahdi, the things will get worse. There will be bloodbath in Kufa, Najaf, and there are numerous hadiths to support that. But on the flip side, I'm talking about not normal alim, but I've come across mujtahid in their books, in their video, including Aga Bahjat, who talk specifically about Bada in this zuhur of Imam Mahdi. And they say if people rise up, people change their own situation and build a connection with Imam Zamana, then there's not necessary that the bloodbath will take place. Can you elaborate on that, please?
So who said that, sorry?
I said I've come across books of mujtahid, including Ayatollah Bahjat,
right,
who said that if people rise up, they change their own situation, and they build a strong connection with Imam Zamana, then there is not necessary that all these signs of bloodbath, things getting worse will take place. Imam will reappear, and this is the, basically they said Bada in this situation of Zuhur.
Well, I can't say anything to that. If he said that, then obviously he's an authority. But the books are, the alamat of Zuhur are clear. Yes, you can change your situation. Maybe you can change it for the time being, and we have seen examples of that. Allah says in the Holy Quran, I don't change the state of a nation until that nation changes itself. So this is a Quranic rule. There's no denying that. Now, whether if that will totally change, because some of the signs are hatmi, Maybe those who are ghair hatmi, they may change. But the hatmi signs can never change. For example, the qatl of Nafsul Zakiyya, the rising of Sufyani destroying Iraq, killing mu'mineen, women who are expecting, he will cut out the children out of the stomachs. This cannot change. This is hatmi. Okay? Yes, maybe he was referring to those signs which are ghair hatmi or they are not 100%. They can, so these signs can change. But the hatmi signs, they don't change. Yes, you're right. So, but we don't know what will change. Of course, our role is to continue our duty. We must do our duty. It doesn't mean we sit there. We can help, charities, whatever we can do, we must do. But my point is that all of the signs of Zuhur, all of the books, they say the same thing. That is not looking good. And hence why the hadith says that when the Imam will come, he will fill the earth with, peace and justice, like it will be filled with dhulm and oppression and killing and things like that. So it means that it will be there. But the Imam will come and he will turn it around. So I think that, I don't know, I have to see what the ulama have said. I have to see the video before I can say anything. But it seems that it may be the signs which are ghair hatmi, not the hatmi ones. Okay? Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum. When we speak about Rajat and it being something sought after, a high status, can we assume that the 124,000 prophets would also, because obviously we spoke in the lecture about the A'imma and Rajat, would the prophets come under that category? Because I know there's a specific mention of Nabi Isa, so would the other prophets come under that category? And the follow-up question I have to that is, if they do, we would be living in a time where there is a lot of the A'imma around and a lot of the prophets. What gives Imam al-Mahdi the precedence as the Khalifa over them?
That's a good question, excellent. In one of the slides, actually, in the last final slides, the Prophet Sulaiman's name was mentioned there. Yusha bin Nun's name was mentioned there, who was after Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. So, again, will all 124,000 prophets come back? This is the gray area. We don't have any hadith to say yes. But we do have hadith to say that a lot of prophets will make a return. The first and foremost, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. Isa alayhi salam will pray behind Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, even according to Bukhari. Sahih al-Bukhari, Zuhur, Isa, Imam alayhi salam leads the prayer, Isa prays behind him. That is even confirmed by Bukhari. Which prophets will return? We don't know. How many will return? We don't know. But let's say we take this hadith that says the Prophet Solomon returns, and Jesus returns, but that makes sense because Jesus would speak to the Christians and Solomon would speak to the Jews. Okay? Two main Abrahamic faiths. And it seems that that will be the case if we're not too far from Zuhur. So, we can't say which prophets. But definitely, because the best of the best, maybe Allah will choose some of them. Okay? Question number 2, well, all of the Imams are not going to be in the time of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. There's nothing to suggest that. Also, we don't know if all of the Imams return. Some of the narrations don't mention all of them. Some of them mention. The ones that are mentioned, the names that are mentioned a lot are Imam Hussein, Imam Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. And that's why I kept it brief to those two names. There were more narrations, but I left them out. Some mention, say, the Zahra's name, Rasulullah's name, Imam Hassan alayhi salam's name. But I left all of them out because I want to stick to those narrations which come up again and again and again, and which are commonly accepted. So Imam Hussein alayhi salam and Imam al-Mahdi and Imam Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salatu wasalam. So their names are mentioned. So, but it doesn't mean that they will be there in the time of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. So it's not that Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is like ruling over it. So again, this is the rest of it. We don't know the details. You have a question on the sister side, please.
So I just wanted to ask about Dajjal and what role he or she or whatever it would be would play in Rajat. And would it be a new creation or a recreation?
Dajjal, look, the Dajjal itself is disputed amongst the scholars. Is Dajjal a creature? For example, Sunni brothers will say he's a creature who's already here, chained up on an island. But our scholars have rejected this sort of explanation of Dajjal. that is chained up in a specific island, is locked up, and he will break those chains and he will come out and whatnot. So it's a split here again. Is Dajjal a person? Is it a creature? Or is it a system? And scholars have written they've written books on it, trying to give their own understanding of what Dajjal is. But no one can say for 100% what exactly it is. But it's there, that's for sure. It's amongst the signs that cannot change. What will it do? Its role is the same as all of the other evils, all of the other shayateen, like the Sufyani, who will rise up for one reason and one reason alone: kill Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, kill Shia. He will be an enemy of the Shia, and he will be from the Umayyads. To kill, like I said, any mu'minah who's expecting, he would kill her. He would kill the child from within her. So they have the same. In general, the narrations say the same. Fight Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, oppose Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. But again, we don't know what Dajjal is, what sort of creature, person, or a system. I hope that gives some clarity. Shall we take one last before we end? If there is.
From the ladies?
No, nothing.
When you said the best of the best, so the best of all of creation is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So is there anything to say that he will return? And then the second question is belief in Rajat like an article of Shia faith?
Yes. So I showed a hadith actually today from Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, which mentions Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam by name. And there are other narrations as well, but I didn't put them in, just wanted to keep it brief. But there are, and of course, if you go with this best of the best, then Rasulullah is the best of the best. So there are more signs pointing towards his return. And your second question was dealt with last week. Not sure if you were here, but we went through the names of the classical scholars who have given a consensus on this creed and what this creed was, and how throughout the history the Shias have always believed in it, how the Shias were criticized for it, how the Shias were faced a backlash for it, how the Sunnis used this against the Shia and Ilm al-Rijal. I'd invite you to look at my slides from last week for clarity. And yes, in brief, in a nutshell, it's a part of the Shia doctrine, part of the Shia aqaid, where the principle is accepted by all, and no one has opposed this except throughout history, except the Sunni world.
Could you take one more?
Yes, okay, we'll take one more.
Assalamu alaikum. You mentioned that you said that Raja is an opportunity for the wrongs to be righted. Then you also said that when the angels come and they will ask, do you want to be resurrected? Why would anybody say no? And why would they be asked? Surely it's an opportunity for them to take revenge.
Yes, it's an excellent question, because I'll tell you why they would say no. Because the hadith says, the time of the Imams, it's a very good question actually. The time of the Imams is here. That's however they put that, I'm putting it in my own words. So you have two options. Either you get up and join the Imam, you can serve, you can help. Or two, the second option is, or you can stay here in the ni'mah of Allah. And this is why they would say no. Some of them. They may say, look, I don't want the hassle again. Let's say, I don't want to be, it means that there is still trials and there's still tribulations. Helping the Imam means still fighting, still war, still, whatever comes with it. And the other part is, for some, may be easier. Well, you know what? I'm enjoying myself here. Let me stay here. So, and it's fine. It's totally fine. The mu'min has let's say he's an oppressed. Let's say he was killed. He was a shaheed. He lived a hard life. but he was pious, he was mu'min, and he's eligible for this raj'ah, okay? So they come and get him. It's time to go. He said, no, I don't want to go. I've been killed once. I do not want to do that again. Shahadat once is enough. This is why they would stay, because of what we don't see yet, what Allah will be giving them, what compensation, what the ar-rawda min riyadh al-jannah, the gardens of paradise which will be opened in the graves of the mu'mineen, the shuhada, the men of God, rijalullah. This is why I would say no if I was there, inshallah. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. Recite a Fatiha for all of the shuhada. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعجل فرجه.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can we please recite Surah Fatiha for both Marhuma Farhana Dewji, who passed away in Nairobi, and Marhum Muhammad Bashir Kurji, who passed away in Peterborough, and both were buried last week. Can we please recite Surah Fatiha for them, the names displayed on the screens, and for all Marhumin. Al-Fatiha. Can we please recite Dua Shifa for Sayyid Rizwan Rizvi and for all those who are either unwell or suffering tonight, please. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yujibu al-mudhtarra idha da'a wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibu al-mudhtarra idha da'a wa yakshifu as-su'. Amma yujibu al-mudhtarra idha da'a. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه. On Monday, the 14th of October, we will celebrate the wilada of Imam Hassan al-Askari, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. The program will start with Quran, followed by Hadith al-Kisa at 8 p.m. Hyderi's Ladies Committee are pleased to announce a Lady Zainab Empowerment Day, which will be held on Sunday, the 10th of November. Details of the program will be available on our website and the WhatsApp group chats. Can we now please welcome the Sports Committee to give a presentation on the recent Youth MAMT? Can we please welcome them with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I urge you to just bear with me for 15 minutes, and I promise you once I'm done, you won't have to hear from me again for a very, very long time. More to come for that later. As you all know, every year Courage do a youth football tournament, and for the last couple of years they've had one exclusively for kids, so everyone under the age of 18. And alhamdulillah, last Saturday, Hyderi took 10 teams up to Milton Keynes, a record turnout. Now, we had a lot of success this year, similar to what we had last year, but maybe in some different metrics, equally as important, I'd say. Without further ado, I'd like to call up each team. I'll give a brief narrative as to how they did. And once I've called the coach for that team could also come up. We've got some very special gifts from HSA to give to both the players and the coaches. So can I have one salawat, and then I'll follow convention and start with the youngest boys and work my way up all the way to the older boys. So one big salawat for everyone, please. Thank you. Oh, most importantly, can I please ask Sayyid to come up to present the gifts to all of the players? Thank you very much. So we'll start with the year 2 and 3 category, which is the youngest age category that we took to MAMT. For this year group, the most important thing is to reinforce important values in our children. So values of discipline, of akhlaq, of brotherhood, of learning how to play as a team. And importantly, to make not only yourself proud and your parents proud, but to make your community proud. And I think the year 2s and 3s this year did exactly that. So their coaches being Akil Al-Adina and Muhammed Reza Esma, I don't think either of them are here. If they are, feel free to come up. But the players in the year 2 and 3 age category did really well. They won 3 games during the group stages, and they qualified for the knockout rounds. Unfortunately, they lost in the quarterfinal, but they did everyone proud. And at that age, they're just still learning, and they're going to grow and continue to get better and become better footballers. So we had in year 2 and 3 Abbas Ali Asharia, Aden Jeffrey, Ali Haider Alidina, Ali Raza, Ali Abbas Esmail, Kizar Abbas Kareem, and Muhammad Rizvi. If any of you guys are here, please come to the front. And if Akil and Muhammad Raza are here, please also come up too. So. This way. So all of the players are being presented with customized HSA water bottles, which I'm sure they'll be able to use for the remainder of their playing careers, which I hope is going to be a very, very long time. Well done, boys. Now, next is the year 4 and 5 age category. Now, I was the coach for this team, so I've got such great things to say. This team surprised me. They really did, even though I've worked with them for the last few months. On the day, they were the only Hyderi team to win 6 out of 6 and therefore have a 100% record in the group stages. They were absolutely phenomenal. And along the way, not only did they beat some big Jamaats, i.e. Stanmore and Birmingham, but some of the football they played and the goals they scored was just breathtaking. And it was such an honor to coach them. To go through the list one by one, and all of these are done in alphabetical order. Ali Jarraj, who was a top goal scorer, scored a great hat-trick in the first game. Ali Zain Ghulam Hussain, who was so solid defensively throughout the competition. Ali Hussain Maulidina, who was a star in goal, didn't have a lot to do, but when he did have, he came in clutch with a lot of great saves. Ali Hussain, I know you're here, come up. We have Arman, who I'm not sure is here, but he was also a star and contributed with some really important goals. Ayan Panjwani, who was a captain on the day, he was a rock at the back and he led by example. Murtaza Ali Sayed, who was the glue of the team and really contributed throughout the tournament. We then have Zaman Ali. Now, Zaman is probably the youngest and smallest player in this age category, but I promise you all, he has the biggest heart. And Zaman played really, really well. And last but not least, Zain Abbas Maulidina, who, when he came on, every single time he came on, had such a great contribution to the team and gave us such good energy and fitness levels. It was absolutely brilliant. So, boys, I'm so, so proud of you. Well done. You guys played excellently well. Unfortunately, they lost in the quarterfinal, and so their run came to an end. But there's some really, really big things expected from this team in the future. Guys, very well done, and I hope you enjoy your gifts. So then we've got the year 6-7 category. We had 2 teams in this category. We had the gold team, which was coached by Imran Wauji. This team also managed to navigate their way through the groups, but unfortunately lost in the quarterfinal. So this team, if you guys are here, please come up. We have Ali Hassan Maulidina, Ali Wajdan, Amar Razvi, Haider Rizvi, Hussein Esmail, and Mahdi Ali Maulidina. You guys were very, very well done. And we're super proud of you for what you guys achieved on Saturday. Come up and get your gifts. And for the year 6-7 black team, this team, well, they've won the last 3 MAMPs. So they had a lot of let's say, expectation coming into this tournament, and they really did deliver. Without one of or two of their star players, they got to the final and only narrowly lost to a very good Stanmore team. This team consists of Adam Rafiq, Ayan Sharif, Aiden Delji, Ehsan Mahadeva, Hassan Lalji, Ibrahim Mortimer, and Yusuf Kaki. If any of you guys are here, please come up and share a photo with the rest of your age group. Come on, guys. Well done. Can we have a round of applause for the year 6, 7, 8? Very well done. Anyone else here? So this team was coached by Ali Delji, may I add. So Ali, if you are here, please come to the front. I know you're always lingering around somewhere. Okay, never mind. Boys, well done. Excellent. Okay, then we have the year 8s and year 9s. Now these guys were the surprises of the tournament. Their coach, Sajjad Asharia, promised me beforehand that they would have a strong team, but even I was taken aback by how well they performed and gelled on the day. They were undefeated in the group stages. They won almost, well, every single game bar one, which they drew. They smashed a team 7-0 in the quarterfinal, beat a very strong and physical team in the smashed a team in the quarterfinal, beat a very strong and physical team in the semi-final, and they got to the final and played a Stanmore team that they'd beaten 3-0 in the group stages. They went 1-0 up, and we all thought, okay, the first Hyderi trophy's coming home, but unfortunately they weren't able to get it over the line. But that doesn't take away from their achievement and how well they played. And it's a testament to the players, the parents, and also the coach Sajjad. So Saj, if I can ask you to come up alongside the rest of your team, Ali Mahdi Asharia, Ali Raza Hussain, Hasnain Merchant, Muhammad Rida Delji, Rayan Haider, Yusuf Mortimer, and Zain Ali Rafai. You guys were absolutely brilliant and you deserve everything. Well done. Is that everyone? Hasnain's not here. That's okay. That's okay. Did you guys take it? Yeah. You did? Okay, perfect. We want one? Nah, okay. All right, you guys are good. Well done, boys. Thank you, boys. Okay, so we move on to the year 10 and 11 category. So I'm going to mix the gold and the grey team. The gold team was managed by Ali Abbas Raza and the grey team by Hassain Uncle Delji. The gold team they didn't make it out of the groups. They had a lot of positives to take from the tournament, but just weren't able to have the good play materialize into results. And it was quite similar with the grey team too. So the gold team and the grey team: Ali Medikara, Amar Rafiq, Hasnain Raza, Hussain Ali, Imran Premji, Zain Ali Jaraj, Ali Uka, and then we have Ali Hassan Ali, Hamza Rizvi, and Hussein Hasim. So if you guys are here, please come up. Well done. And you guys have a lot to take from this tournament. Well done. How's your knee? So even though there's two, can we have a round of applause for this age group, please? And then we have the year 10-11 black team, which was coached by none other than our very own Nosher Uncle. This team had high expectations coming into the tournament, and they really did perform. This team consists of Ali Raza Merchant, Ali Sayed, Akil Hussain Lalji, Hamza Khan, Muhammad Qadim Ghulam Hussain, and the goalkeeper Maitham Sharif. These guys cruised their way through the group, performed really well in the quarterfinal, but just lost out in the semi-final to a very good team, and perhaps probably could have gone on and won the tournament. And maybe next year they will. But Nosher Uncle coached them really well, and they performed admirably as a squad. So boys, if any of you are here, please come up to get your water bottles. If you're not, we'll recite aloud salawats for you guys anyway. Yeah. Nosher Uncle, we want to give you your little gift there, so please do come up. And Hasnain Uncle, if Hasnain Uncle Dawji is here, please, please, please. photo? All right, go on. And then finally, we have the oldest age group. We had two teams that entered year 12 and 13. The gold team was coached by Qasim Bamani, who also navigated their way through the group stages, but lost in the quarterfinal. This team performed well, given expectation, and on the day, they were really, really good to watch and gelled as a team. So well done to Ayan Raza, Ali Manikia, Muhammad Abbas, Ghulam Hussain, Qaim Hussain, Taha Mohsin, and Zain Ali. If any of you guys are here, again, please come up and collect your awards. I don't know if Qasim Bamani's here. Maybe he's in the kitchen, but he's not here. What a shame. We'll hold on to this and give it to you. Round of applause for every single player in this team. And then the year 12 and 13 black team, which was coached by Zain Ali, Zain Prince. This team also had some expectation going into the tournament, considering even though they lost two star players from last year, they did win it last year. But they got to the quarterfinals, played a good Stanmore team, and lost on penalties. So it could have gone either way. The team consisted of Amar Uka in goal, Mehdi Molo, Mikhail Jafar, Rees Hussain, Sajad Ali Lalji, and Zaim Hussain. I don't know how many of you are here, but if you are, do come up and collect your gifts. If not, can we have one big round of applause? Oh, Mikhail is here. Come on, guys. Come and collect your awards. Big round of applause, please. I think the players that are missing are the ones that missed their penalties, so it's probably a good idea for them not to show up. And that's football mount presentation. So thank you, Sayed. If I can just have the last couple of minutes of your time. As I hinted at earlier, most of you will know that next weekend marks the end of the current tenure of the Hyderi Sports Association team, and we will be standing down after 2 years. Now, the executive team, which consists of myself, Akil Jarraj, who's the treasurer, and Ali Abbas Bamani, who is the vice chair, we feel as if it's the right time, the right moment in our lives to pass on the reins to someone that I can, inshallah, continue on the success that we've had. As our term draws to an end, I really want to thank most of the people in this community for supporting us, for encouraging us, for attending our sessions, for allowing us to grow. We were a trio of newly married 25-year-olds that came into this role 2 years ago. And even made a couple of mistakes along the way. You guys have had the patience to see us through it and to encourage us. And so for that, we are really, really thankful. It's a thankless task, but it's something that we've all really enjoyed. A quick mention to the wider team. So of course, Ali Abbas and Akil and myself, we set the vision and we implement the strategy. But without the coordinators that you all see on this, none of this is possible. So in no particular order, but Ali Abbas started with football, Danish Mahadeva with over 34s football, Bilal Gaba with volleyball, Qasim Lalji with tier 2 volleyball, Riaz Garmali with cricket, Ali Abbas Walji with badminton, and then some of our more newer heads. So we had Hasnain Mohsin with table tennis, Akil Aladina youth tennis, No Sharanko of course came back and supported us with youth football. Mam's uncle also helped us with youth football, and Ali Razadato with running. And there were loads of people along the way that helped, contributed, especially with big events such as Al Qadr League, where we needed the spirit and the unity from the entire community. So you guys, it takes such commitment, dedication, and a layer of creativity to be really good coordinators that people appreciate and value the work that they do. So you guys absolutely smashed it. If you're watching at home or if you're here, thank you so much. It's been an honor to serve you all as Hyderi Sports Chairman. And for the last 2 years, it's been an invaluable experience for me, and it's one that I've just ultimately thoroughly enjoyed. So for you guys, thank you very, very much. Inshallah, I pray that this community continues to grow and inshallah has a lot more success in the future. So thank you all very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
صل على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of the management committee, I want to take a moment just to express our heartfelt thanks to our sports committee volunteers. Your dedication, time, and hard work have brought so much joy to the community. Through your efforts, including the Ramadan tournaments, as well as starting, I think, a record number of sports, it hasn't gone unnoticed. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for every one of your efforts and continue to grant you the strength to, inshallah, serve this community. Please can we give them 3 loud salawats, and if I can call them out just for this token of appreciation. صل على محمد وآل محمد. توجه الزارع. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا خيرة الله وابن خيرته، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوسيين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور، السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله، لقد أظمت الرزية وجلت وأظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت المصيبة في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات. فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفأتكم عن مقامكم وزلتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها، ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم، ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشيائهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله، إني سلم لمن صالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان، ولعن الله بني أمية قاتبة، ولعن الله ابن مرجانة، ولعن الله أمر بن سعد، ولعن الله شمرة، ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتنقبت لقتالك. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد أظم مصابي بك. فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني تلب ثارك مع إمام المنصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله، إني يتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قاتلك ونسب لك الحرب، وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس الظلم والجور عليكم، وأبرأوا إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانه وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشيائكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم وتقربوا إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناسبين لكم الحرب وبالبراءة من أشيائهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن صالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة. وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله وأن يرزقني ترب ثار مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم وبشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يؤتيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يؤتي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله في كل موطن وموقف وكفى فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية عليهم منك اللعنة أبد العابدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن الإصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعل الله آخر الأهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني وابدأ به أوله ثم الآن الثانية والثالثة والرابع. اللهم الآن يزيد خامسة والآن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجان وأمر بن سعد وشمرة وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. سجدة. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا محجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. حاجات.